This is Mac OS Ken.
Apple Intelligence gets good news and a spanking. Sometimes those are good news. Word of a strong first quarter for iPhone and tales of real and unreal Apple stores. It is Wednesday, the 23rd of April, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. So it turns out you are really excited about Apple Intelligence. Oh, you may not think you are, but a note from Morgan Stanley analyst Eric Woodring says you are, so deal. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote on Tuesday. According to that, a survey of 3,300 U.S. consumers found stronger than expected consumer perception for Apple Intelligence, record high U.S. iPhone upgrade rates, and strong interest in new iPhone form factors. The Apple Intelligence numbers are kind of insane. That a lot of people have downloaded and engaged with Apple Intelligence, 80% on eligible iPhones in the last 6 months according to the survey, is not surprising. The surprising part's how important it is to some of them, and the fact that they are willing to pay for it. According to the note, 42% of iPhone owners believe it is extremely or very important to have Apple Intelligence support on their next iPhone. 54% of iPhone owners likely to upgrade in the next 12 months say it's extremely or very important to have Apple Intelligence on their next device. And consumers who have tried it are willing to pay for Apple Intelligence, going as high as a little over $9 per month on average for unlimited access. Imagine how much more popular it'll be when it does the stuff Apple says it will. Intent to upgrade here in the States has hit its highest level in a decade, according to the survey. 51% of iPhone owners quizzed list themselves as extremely likely to upgrade their device in the next 12 months. That could be a combo of new features, new form factors, and old phones. 60% of survey respondents are toting an iPhone that is over 3 years old, significantly higher than any prior period over the last decade. We pause this parade now for rain. Quoting Woodring's note, in the short term there remain a number of speed bumps Apple needs to navigate to outperform peers, uncertain tariff policy, persistent China smartphone weakness, and legal and regulatory cases. Thinking beyond this period of tariff uncertainty, though, the analyst says he and his believe that Apple's software and hardware advances, if properly executed upon, should help to accelerate device replacement cycles and create incremental services revenue opportunities. Mr. Woodring has an outperform rating on Apple's shares. His price target on the shares is $220. Speaking of Apple Intelligence and what Apple says it will do, the U.S. National Advertising Division, or NAD, part of the Better Business Bureau, has recommended that Apple discontinue or modify the Available Now text on the Apple Intelligence page, and Apple seems to have complied. Mac Rumors had the NAD issuing a press release Tuesday announcing the change. According to the release, NAD found that Apple's unqualified Available Now claim, positioned at the top of its Apple Intelligence webpage and above detailed feature descriptions, reasonably conveyed the message that all listed features were available at the launch of iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Pro. While the Available Now message had footnotes and small print disclosures, NAD did not think those were enough. According to the body, they were neither sufficiently clear and conspicuous nor close to the triggering claims. Though some of the features in question are available now, they weren't when iPhone 16 launched, and besides, some of the features are still not available now, making available now still potentially misleading. Apple takes issue, but it has gone along. The company is quoted in the NAD release saying, "While we disagree with the NAD's findings related to features that are available to users now, we appreciate the opportunity to work with them and will follow their recommendations." iPhone did really well worldwide in the first quarter of 2025, though exactly how well depends on who you're asking. Numbers last week from IDC show iPhone in second place behind Samsung for the first quarter, while Counterpoint Research has it going one better. According to that firm, Apple took the top spot in global smartphone sales last quarter, the first time it has ever done that in a March quarter. While IDC can only give Apple the silver, it does say that last quarter was Apple's best Q1 ever in terms of units shipped. Interestingly, smartphone sales growth around the world was driven by two big factors, according to Counterpoint: growth in emerging markets and subsidy-led growth in China. I say that's interesting because while iPhone did well globally, its performance in China wasn't that great. A separate piece from IDC tied specifically to that country had Apple showing up fifth in the Middle Kingdom on estimated sales of 9.8 million units. That was down 1 million units from the same quarter a year earlier on a shrinking market share of 13.7%. For Q1 24, iPhone's market share was 15.6%. Helping Apple in the first quarter, according to Counterpoint, the February launch of iPhone 16e. Hurting smartphone growth as a whole, according to Counterpoint, economic uncertainty. While sales in January were particularly strong, one Counterpoint senior research analyst was quoted as saying, "It turned quickly as economic uncertainties and trade war risks started mounting, especially towards the end of the quarter. We continue to analyze changes in policies and are currently projecting the market to decline year on year in 2025, despite growth in the first quarter." IDC's take on the first quarter growth sounds somewhere between more practical and more pessimistic. That firm's VP of client devices says the rush to produce and ship devices into the U.S. ahead of anticipated tariffs on smartphones from China effectively inflated first quarter shipment figures beyond levels anticipated based on underlying consumer demand trends alone. Looking ahead, well, who the heck knows? Ryan Reith, Group VP, Worldwide Device Trackers at IDC, says the last-minute tariff exemptions announced by the Trump administration offer temporary relief for U.S. companies. That said, continued heavy reliance on China's supply chain, plus ongoing tariff volatility, make future planning challenging and leave many companies with high levels of uncertainty as they try to chart paths forward. Reith says right now the focus for U.S. smartphone brands should be taking advantage of the exemption by building and shipping as much as possible. The other side of this equation is the possibility that economic uncertainty may dampen consumer demand in the coming months. A message for members of Apple's public testing program: you are back on duty. Mac Rumors and 9to5Mac both ran pieces on a new round of public betas on Tuesday. Those follow the third round of developer betas Apple seeded on Monday. Mac Rumors says public testers now have access to betas of iOS and iPadOS 18.5 and macOS Sequoia 15.5. Indications in the 9to5Mac piece are that public betas for tvOS 18.5 and watchOS 11.5 are out as well, though the watchOS beta is not mentioned by name. Rather, the piece lists betas for iOS, iPadOS, macOS, tvOS, and more. So maybe there's one for the watch, maybe there isn't. Won't it be fun to find out? If you're in the public testing program, you know what to do. If you're not, but would that you were, there's info to be found at beta.apple.com. We'll wrap with two wildly different stories tied to Apple retail. First, word of an Apple store closing later this year. Mac Rumors says Apple Bristol will lock its doors for the final time on Saturday, the 9th of August. It's not staff problems for the UK store, and apparently not store performance either. Rather, the piece says Cabot Circus Shopping Centre and the adjacent Bristol shopping quarter are being redeveloped. The street on which the Apple Store sits will eventually welcome a mix of residential buildings, medical facilities, restaurants, and other services. Going forward, the area will continue to be served by Apple Cribs Causeway on the outskirts of Bristol and Apple Southgate in Bath. Workers impacted by the store closures will be able to continue their roles at the company, according to the report. And finally today, while watching the trailer for the Netflix movie iHostage, I was taken with the film's set. Taking place in an Apple store in Amsterdam in 2022, I couldn't help wondering how they had done it. I mean, it looked so legit. I wondered whether filmmakers had actually gotten permission to film in an Apple store. Well, of course they didn't. Rather, they rebuilt every bit of the location and threw up a giant digital screen around the whole set, making the inside of the soundstage look like the outside of an Apple store that was actually inside a soundstage. 9 to 5 Mac has an article on the set. There is also a short, fascinating behind-the-scenes video available now on YouTube. macOS Can, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macoscan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
It's still sunny.